their Paul Goldschmidt in 2019 in Ketel Marte. He did all the things that he had shown flashes of. He hit for a high average, demonstrated a good approach, he played well defensively, and he unleashed power that nobody knew was there. And this is the prime example of somebody who could take a couple of steps back without the juiced-up ball. Okay? His health, his strength could be factors. Remember, Marte's season ended with 10 games remaining in the season. He had a stress reaction in his lower back. And whether that injury could cut into his off-season strengthening or whether it could resurface again, those are the big questions. Okay? So that, my friends, is Ketel Marte. Texas Rangers are the team that's featured on today's podcast. And once again, we take time to thank everybody for showing up on the podcast. The draft guide is going crazy, so anybody who'd like to purchase it, don't forget the draft room gets the chat room gets 30% off. 30%. So place your orders for the draft guide. If you can't find the link, just go to the home page and you'll see it right there. Okay, 30% off. Okay, even Kenny Flamia gets 30% off. Okay, Primetime purchased it. How do you like it, Primetime? There you go. All the stuff. Okay, now let's talk about the Texas Rangers, and then we'll let you all go home. And it's almost romantic to talk about, a lot of teams in the spring. Everybody thinks they have a shot. New season, there's optimism, there's a lot of jazz and pitchers and catchers. Everybody's excited, but it doesn't always happen to go that way. Provided there are no injuries in spring training, everybody's all excited. But here's the thing. Important players on the Texas Rangers, guys like Roughneck Odor. Man, that's a weird one. Elvis Andrus, Joey Gallo, Corey Kluber. Okay? Those are the important guys. They'll only go as far as Odor. Can he finally get an approach? Can Elvis Andrus do what he did last year, coming back with the stolen bases? Is Joey Gallo going to be healthy? And even if he is, fine. We know he's going to hit you 35 home runs. But what about his batting average? Can it be respectable? And will last year's Corey Kluber, who only pitched in a couple of games, will that wind up being a benefit? But here are the other guys that we're watching. I'm sorry to do this, but we got it. Greg Bird spent all winter trying to find a home, and he found one in Texas. And Texas spent all winter trying to find a compliment or an upgrade over Ronald Guzman. So he's in camp on a non-roster, and he's the best they could do. And he's 27. Look, forgive me, he's got upside potential, but he's not close to matching the promise he showed in New York as a rookie in 2015 because he's been injured. He's been limited to 140 games over the last 4 years, and he's produced a batting average of 194, and that doesn't cut it, okay? And if he couldn't make it in New York, holy mackerel, okay? So it's going to be but Bird could win a magical spot because it's going to be a head-to-head, flat-out competition between Bird and Guzman to win the position, or at least the left-handed portion of the platoon. Now, Guzman's a good fielder, but his bat looks very soft. Big kid, but his bat doesn't look like he does. So it may come down to who shows better against right-handed pitching. Bird actually has reverse splits. He hits better against lefties than he does against righties. Crazy. But remember, 4 days after arriving in the major leagues, remember Greg Bird hit 2 home runs, right? And drove in all 4 runs for the Yankees in a 1-run win over the Minnesota. That was back in the heat of the 2015 playoff race, okay? And he was the next Mark Teixeira, okay? But hasn't really worked out like that, okay? He had a torn labrum. All right, we all know about Greg Bird, okay? So we'll see. Keep an eye on Greg Bird. Nick Solak. One reason the Rangers would be willing to consider a first-place platoon is to get Solak more playing time to create enough of a role to justify keeping him. They want to keep him, but they can't put him at second base yet over Odor. They got to wait for Odor to fail. He played second and third last year after Texas got him. And even if he doesn't play well at first base, they could use him at third base against lefties, and they could move Todd Frazier to first base. That's not bad. So, yeah, Solak could play third base, and then Frazier could wind over playing some first base in the platoon against lefties. Okay, and we know that Solak's a good hitter, but they aren't sure where to play him in the field. Now, I'll tell you somebody that really, I didn't even realize how good Danny Santana was last year. He was the team's MVP, and got an everyday job, and center fielder. The Rangers don't really have any other place to put him. Santana likes to play center, feels it's his best position. His defensive metrics have never been any good. And the Rangers don't have a clear-cut backup on the roster. So how he looks in center field is going to determine if the Rangers are willing to add to the roster. Kevin Pillar, not in the mix anymore. My sources have told me that Jarrett Dyson could be in the mix, or they could actually go after Jackie Bradley now that Pillar is signing with the Red Sox. Don't be surprised if Jackie Bradley winds up playing center field for the Texas Rangers. But I really think Santana had a good season, okay? Now, this is interesting because I was not familiar with this guy until I did some homework. No reliever in the Texas camp has more upside than DeMarcus Evans, a closer in waiting if he throws strikes. A one-time minor league prospect, he's got a real shot to do something on this Texas team. They're going to let Evans open the season in AAA Nashville, and they're going to call him up if he looks good. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, lucky stars, that you are listening to this podcast. And right away, George goes for his box of Lucky Charms. I didn't say Lucky Charms, George. I said Lucky Stars. George is thanking his Lucky Charms. Okay, there's Tim McLeod. Leotis Taveras time, okay? Jarrett Dyson is close to signing with the Pirates. That's why I said, okay? So George grabbed his Lucky Charms, and there you go. But it's not. Lucky Stars. So keep in mind. And Tim, what do you think of this kid? You probably know him better than I do. DeMarcus Evans could wind up having a nice role, okay? Indescribably delicious. So, look, he's got a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Very tempting. He's going to work in high-leverage situations in the minor leagues. Colby Allard. Wow. Allard really impressed the Rangers with his competitiveness. He's a very tough kid. Displayed little more than the fastball that they thought, so he's been trying to rediscover a breaking ball that he threw. He stopped throwing the last 2 years. So Allard, who we all know from the Atlanta Braves, he's got an edge over most of the other young guys to be in line for an opportunity. All he's got to do is show the Texas Rangers something, reinforce their minds that he can do the job. So let's just run down the... I got to tell you something. How about that? I didn't even... I wasn't sure if I was ready to announce that, but DeMarcus Evans, potential closer. You know the way I feel about closers, my fellow Americans. Right, Tim McLeod? I love Tim. Love the Tim. Okay. All right, let's just go around the horn. We'll get the hell out of here. and we'll talk about the Texas prospects. But are there any other, look, does anybody in the chat room know this kid? DeMarcus Evans. Anybody? Just want to give you some time to think about it. Okay, let's talk about the Texas Rangers. Let's go around the horn now and see what they have to offer. Over at first base, and we talked about Guzman. Look, his batting average is going to kill you. He may hit some home runs, but I don't think he's going to get... Look, Sam Travis is also there. Guzman, if you're looking for some numbers on Guzman, look, it's really all about Bird, but Guzman, in my humble opinion, is going to get you... Look at this kid. He's a big kid. What is he, about 6'7", something like that? 6'4". He's going to hit you about 240 with 16 to 20 home runs. Nothing great. So that's Guzman. Odor at second base. They're giving him another chance to play some second base. He's a guy that goes up, 26 years old. He rarely has an approach. But he hit 30 home runs last year, but 205. Left-handed hitter. I say that he hits 220 with 25 home runs. He's one of the guys who's going to be hurt by the non-juice ball. Third time in 4 years, though, he's hit at least 30 homers. So he may not be the guy. All right? Second time in the past 3 years, he's failed to hit higher than 205. So he's one of these guys. He doesn't care about his strikeouts. Strikeouts jump from about 20% to 30%. He figured, look, I don't have a clue as to having an approach, so I'm just going to hit home runs. And that's what he did. Now, Andrus, on the other hand, 2 years ago, a little bit off. Last year, he bounced back with 31 stolen bases. If he hits 275, if he gets you double-digit home runs, 10 to 15, and he steals 25 bases, that's what you got. He had swiped at least 20 bases in each of his first 9 seasons. Look, in 2018, he was injured. Okay? Last year, he topped the 30 stolen base mark for the first time since, I believe, 2013. So, there you go. Todd Frazier over at third base, man, he was one of my favorite players, only because he could steal a base. So this year, will he steal a base? Yeah, last year he stole 1. This year, I'll double it. He'll steal 2. He'll hit you 240, 20 home runs. He did that, and by the way, the 250 he hit last year was his highest batting average in 4 seasons. Okay? So, there you go. As far as the outfield is concerned, I'll give you my projection for Santana, although, look, there are just sometimes but Danny Santana, all of a sudden, he's 29. I'm going to give him a 260 batting average. I'll give him 15 to 20 home runs, and I'll give him 15 stolen bases. So I'm downgrading Santana big time. I don't think he'll get the usual at-bats, and I do think if they get Jackie Bradley Jr., Santana may play some first base. He's done that before. So let's see. I mean, look, I don't know. Hard to really... I don't think Texas is done. Texas really has taken the position that they want to make some noise this year. They got a new stadium. Remember? Willie Calhoun and Joey Gallo and Sin Choo Choo. Let me give you Willie Calhoun, what I think of Willie. He's the guy who didn't have a position for such a long time. But Calhoun, this could be his year. He's been lingering around. He's 25. He'll hit you 275, 20 to 25 home runs, 80 RBIs. That's what it took a couple of seasons, but he finally had a good year. He took advantage of injuries last year, and he showed his offensive potential. What did he hit, about 270? Hit 20 homers? Not bad. Not bad. Not bad at all. As far as Sin Choo Choo goes, if you're in an on-base percentage league, what can I tell you? You got to take him, all right? And he'll still get 10 bases. He'll hit 260, and he'll hit 15 to 20 home runs. Don't forget, he's got a shoulder injury. And look, if Texas falls out of it, he's gone. And finally, Joey Gallo, and then we'll get Robinson Chirinos is the catcher